Somebody talk.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Conqueror Movement's Coast to Coast Influence Through Action. My name is Khadijah Dennis, and I am the founder of the Conqueror Movement. If you have been following along with the Conqueror Movement, you know that we have been doing this interview series called Coast to Coast. It's all about racial injustice and amplifying Black voices, and it was our response and our way of doing the work in the community to have these conversations and to bring in different influencers and business owners and creative minds in a time where things are very uncertain, tensions are high, and feelings are just kind of all over the place. And so we really wanted to kind of just build a better community through this space here. So I'm so happy to be joined by so many amazing panelists here. As I said earlier, you guys know me. My name is Khadijah. I am the head honcho in charge at the Conqueror Movement, and I'm going to move things along to my other guest here. Kadeem, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Kadeem Dennis. I am the brother of the head honcho in charge, and I'm also a senior at the University of South Carolina studying mechanical engineering and have experience in the industry. So glad to be here.
Awesome. Raven? So it looks like Raven's mic is muted at the moment. So Marcus, if we can get you, we'll go back to Raven.
Yeah, I am a dad to a 9 month old. I am a husband to a 34-year-old. I am also a son,
Oh,
and I'm also the poet laureate of Charleston, and happy to be here.
awesome. Now, Chanel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Nashanel Brown. I am a South Carolina transplant, so originally from Alaska, and I'm currently the owner and founder of event and marketing business, Create by Nashanel, and yeah, an event planner, strategist, VA, virtual assistant. I work from home. I do a lot. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Lee, what's going on?
Hey, what's good, people? The Juaso, founder of JuasoGraphics.com, artist, martial artist, citizen of Amtrak. Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. So before we get into the topics of conversations, we always like to do a mental check-in and just see how everybody is doing. So it doesn't matter who starts, but I really wanted to just kind of ask you guys, how are you at this time? How are you feeling?
Well, I can go first. I am feeling a little sad, I have to say. The news of Chad passing away this week was really tough. Having When I
Hmm.
saw the news, I had to read it like 3 or 4 times because it didn't make any sense to me. It was almost as if, what else can we go through this year? Because what he did for Hollywood is so important, and he was very aware of that importance. So it just seemed like a story that was going to continue. So I'm still feeling a little sad from that, honestly. But I do have a beautiful distraction at the house, having a 9 month old at the house. So I'm very aware of not uh, bringing or projecting that trauma onto her because babies are very, very intuitive. So I'm just checking myself, but there is a bit of sadness.
Definitely understood. It's been a tough week, really a tough 48 hours now. Just with
Hmm.
everything that's been going on and the news of Chadwick Boseman's passing, it definitely hit close to home for a lot of people. And so I think it's just a gentle reminder to just find the joy during this time. I don't know if anyone else had any other thoughts, just kind of mentally checking in.
Yeah, adding on to that,
Everybody's
the
good.
the, the death of Chadwick Boseman is something that's hard to understand. You know, it's very similar to kind of the reaction to Kobe Bryant's death, right? Of man, like there's kind of this perception that this person is immortal, like this, you know, this person's gonna be here for a while, and then after kind of hearing that news, it's like man, it takes a sec to digest it and to sit in it. So you know that in itself was something that was super draining. Along with that, just kind of seeing the way that coronavirus is still kind of wreaking havoc is you know pretty crazy. You know, I'm on a college campus, so I'm seeing it kind of firsthand. USC in particular is having a big spike in cases right now. So yeah, it's a lot of uncertainty, it's a lot of chaos going on right now, but we're still here. Absolutely.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can add.
So,
Oh,
oh no, you're good. You're good.
um, actually, no. I think everything that needed to be said was said. Yeah, I resonate deeply, especially with what Kadeem said. Um, so I'm gonna leave it with that. Okay, go ahead, Khadijah.
Sounds good. So we're gonna actually switch it over to the hostess with the mostest, my good friend and also just the production manager of the Conquer Movement, Terrence. So he's gonna lead the ship here. Very honored to have him be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Founder. The devil thought he had me, but he lost. So I'm back here with y'all. Um, yeah, well, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going and just keep it good vibes. So, uh, first question for our panel. How did COVID-19 affect your field and how did you effectively pivot? Anyone can start.
Okay. So for me, I was working in like both hospitality and then events. So I do planning. I help out with right now the Jubilee Festival. Last year was my first year on helping out, and yeah, I was on contract this year. So looking forward to that festival. I was slated to help out with Dreamville Festival, and prayerfully there was like another festival I was supposed to help with, but yeah, it was just the reality that that's not happening. There's no way, that we're collecting in such mass. So having live gatherings have to come to an abrupt stop was interesting. So at that time, though, I was also trying to figure out for my own, professional endeavors what I wanted to take on. So I did decide, and I had taken like an investment to try to further myself and better myself as a professional, as a steward, a servant, a student. So yeah, I started my LLC in the beginning of COVID, which was terrifying, absolutely terrifying, not knowing what exactly how I'm gonna take it on, but just having every inkling of faith that everything was gonna happen as it needed. So yeah, working events still in a different way, but just taking things literally day by day.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel that way too, and that's good to hear. It's nice to hear these personal stories because I know it helps in a way to hear that a lot of people have to pivot as well during all of this. We aren't in this alone, but yeah. So I started an LLC at the beginning of the year, so prior to COVID, and I decided to release a book almost at the beginning of the pandemic. It was already a part of my master plan. And it's been interesting because the book, I think it's been selling better than it would have if not for COVID. So I've almost had to pivot in a way of letting abundance in a non-abundant time for a lot of people, and that's been a challenge for me. Um, I do have a graphic design business, and that took a little bit of a hit. I do miss being on stage and all that, but what I have enjoyed about
Yes.
this time is just the conversations that I've been having with people. But it's this double-edged sword. It's as a whole, you realize that things aren't all good and things aren't all bad. But it's really interesting to see how it's affecting people of color. So it's just another example of how the system has been broken for a long time, and no matter what is thrown at a society, it's the people of color who will um, get the brunt force of it. So it's just been interesting and having to pivot and be in a mentally sound state, but also be okay if I'm breaking down. So that's just how I'm feeling. It's all the emotions all at once, right now.
Absolutely. What's cool, Marcus, is that during that time period you're thriving, but you're still able to kind of have empathy for those who are also African American who are not thriving during the time period. I think that's
Mm,
a great balance to have.
yeah.
For me, it was like I was searching for an internship when Corona hit, so
Oh wow.
it was kind of like a huge wave for most people, right? Because internships were being digitized overnight and canceled overnight. But for me, luckily, my company, International Paper, they were pretty on top of things. They took care of us well, and we didn't really have much to worry about. So that was really just kind of the Lord blessing me in this time period and kind of allowing things to be solidified and knowing I kind of had that security in the midst of the time where a lot of people didn't have it. So I relate to you a lot in the way that you kind of attacked it, of still realizing like there's other people who have opportunities and internships that are being canceled, but also celebrating the victory of not having to worry about that.
Yeah. Word.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel that
this year has
100%.
definitely been. Oh, sorry, my bad. You go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. Continue. I gotta go check on these potatoes.
This year has definitely been very interesting in the sense of, for me, it was a personal new beginning because I moved to Atlanta in January, and then shortly afterwards, a whole pandemic happened. So it was kind of anxiety inducing trying to figure out what the actual next steps were going to be for me, especially being in a new city and searching for new opportunities, trying to find myself, my personal voice, having more time to dedicate to the Conquer movement, but then having to really think about how the actual organization was going to be able to pivot in a way that was still authentic to who we are, because we've seen a lot of organizations pivot, but it's kind of like on a trending scale, or they weren't able to really pivot as successfully. And so we just had a lot of conversations in the beginning, like, what does this year look like for us? What can we handle? How can we stay true to ourselves personally as to what our responsibilities are in our day-to-day lives? Because we're living our day-to-day lives with very uncertain answers as to how things are going to pan out for us. And then I'm in a new city, so I'm away from everyone. And so that was definitely a very interesting point for me. But I would probably say working on Conquer Movement things has been my saving grace. This COVID me so much more time to dedicate to the business, so much more time to really think about the purpose for what we do and the purpose of what I want the organization to represent. On a personal level, I've definitely had a lot of up and down days. People ask me all the time, how am I doing? And it changes every single day. It could be I'm fine one day, and I could really use a lot of support. Um, and so, really, just understanding that it's okay to be very transparent about what you need in this time, taking time out for yourself to do what you need to do, because at the end of the day, you should be your biggest priority. And I always try to preach that to all of my friends and colleagues. It's impossible for you to really give your all in other areas of your life if you're not taking care of your foundation, which is you. So COVID has definitely done a lot for my self-care, and it's also done a lot for really reconnecting me to my creativity and my purpose.
It's awesome.
Anyone else?
Yeah, we've been given this really dope opportunity to like lock in. It's one of the few times where we've been able to like, as a country and now as people that are creatives or people that are operating in different spheres of making things, that we have no excuse not to sit down and do that one project that we were working on. And so luckily, when
Hmm.
I got back into town, because I travel a whole lot, and so I left school and decided that that's not necessarily what I wanted to do, and came back home to Philly. And as I didn't have a bed and as I had no reason to go anywhere, I just went on IG Live every day and built a connection with like the audience and started seeing not only who they were, but what they thought about it, the things that they liked, and the things that they wanted to see. And so from that, we were able to take that in many directions, from building the foundations of 3 comic books that we're working on right now to an animated project that we're working on, to new clothes that have been created because of the ideas that they had. And none of that really would have existed if I had been traveling and gallivanting in the world instead of being forced to sit down and talk to them and see where their heads were at, and analyze different ways to do things in the way that wouldn't completely destroy me mentally as well. So it's been fun.
Word. Nice. Nice.
That sounds like me with photography. It caused me to like really focus on my craft this whole time and like just really dig into my creative side and not worry about what's going on. Like I was able to really sit still and like process how to do certain things and just take the time out to really learn more and stuff like that.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I like what Lee said about how everyone is kind of this puzzle piece, and we're all figuring out. I don't know. In that sense, I think about like our image and how everyone's reconnecting with self. Everyone's reconnecting with who they are as an individual, as a human, as a whatever role you take on, and what that means to you. But yeah, I just connected with that. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think
It's a beautiful time for a lot of people, and it's so wonderful to hear because I think that um, as Black people, trauma is in season right now. So it's really nice to hear the joyous story. So I really appreciate hearing all this stuff. It's awesome.
To add to your point, I think Black people were always traumatized,
Mm,
as it, and like I think
yeah.
maybe in a sense we were some of us or all of us in various ways were so distracted from other things that maybe didn't even need so much priority that we took a lens off of how we were all affected and how we all have these similarities. Um,
Yeah.
Vastly, we're all connected. I think the world has gotten a lot smaller in that sense,
Mm,
which is to
Hmm.
me, the closeness that we all share. We're all aware of it, whether you like to or not, be aware of it. But I do find the beauty in that we can all, understand each other's humanity by understanding like our own humanity, really, because
yeah.
we are one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
a
definitely true.
yeah, that's a great point. I think that trauma has always been there. The thing that's changed is we've numbed ourselves to that trauma for a long time, uh, and that was something that we couldn't do in this time period. We were forced to kind of sit and kind of process those things that were taking place. So that's a really awesome thing that you point out. For me in particular, I know um, I've stopped numbing and I've more started hurting in the midst of the time period and processing those emotions. So it's really cool to kind of hear you talk about that also.
Or,
You're not alone.
Yeah,
We all hurting. So, and I'm here for you as you hurt, as I can be here for myself. Like, I'm here for you.
Appreciate it.
Same here.
yes. To everybody's testament, one thing that I definitely saw is a lot of healing is happening now. We've gone through these cycles
Yeah.
of trauma as a people. We've gone through every single emotion of how you deal with it, from the denial, from the being numb to it. Now it's like, all right, we have to do something about it. We got to heal from this. We got to actually make real change. Um, so to everyone's point, I think that's a great thing. It leads right into the next question. Now, for one, Miss Raven, we had on the previous episode, she talked about her experience being out there with the peaceful protesters and how that just kind of became a moment. And with you being in photography, you know, there's kind of a bittersweetness to it because on one side it's this is happening because of a trend, but from a photography standpoint, from that artistic standpoint, is like I have to capture this is history. So, starting with Ms. Raven, how do you feel that this pandemic, with all of the ups and downs in it, has benefited you in your business and personal?
For my business, things have been great. Um, I was able to like really just learn new things and like create more, but for my personal life, it's been draining. I just feel like every day when I go on social media and see something new or something happening, it just causes me to like feel weird. Like I don't like how things keep happening to people all the time and like how we're reminded all the time like all this stuff is going on. Like photography was like something that was cool to just capture and all that stuff, but now I feel like all my pictures like shows emotions, so I always try to capture like what's going on in the moment after the protests. Like I don't know, my like I just got different views on everything. Like I was emotional for a long time. I had to take a break from social media. I had to take weeks off from not shooting because I do this full time. So when like things started happening and it started like building up on me, I was like, oh my god, this is too much for me. I can't take it. And a lot of people were in the same boat as me. So I don't know. The pandemic really just made me realize like it's a lot going on. You really have to take it one day at a time and like try your hardest to just push through whatever. Mhm.
Yeah, that's all you can do. I'm interested in hearing from both Lee and Marcus. I know you guys have graphic design firms, and you had a maybe experience with all of the art that's being created from these different tragedies. How did this whole movement and everything going on affected you guys' creative business?
Yeah. Lee, you want to go first on that?
Yeah, I'll go first. Creatively, it pushed me back into the realm of escapism for a very long time, especially academically when you're becoming an artist. I'm 19, so like I just recently got out of high school, and when you're making art, academically, you're told to depict life or to depict ideas, but very rarely your own mind and make art from what's there. Whereas when you naturally do art, generally what you're doing is you're processing things in your mind and that comes out through the art that you display. And so what I'd find was I'd have these ideas for stories or these ideas for images that had nothing to do with reality. But after sitting with it and understanding where those ideas came from, I realized that was what happened when I allowed my mind to process it in a form that I was capable dealing with these certain situations from. I've been huge fan of escapism. So I'm a freaking nerd. I like anime and comics and video games and stuff. And those are all ways to get out of reality, but also to deal with reality at the same time. And so operating in a space where I have artists under me, and when I have people wanting to have certain conversations on the platform, or to have certain clothes or designs on the website, navigating the line between escapism and solidarity was really challenging for me at first, because my natural instinct is to push away reality in order to snuggle in the bosom of freaking safety and comfort. But over time, I've realized that one, solidarity is a form of resistance, and that by upholding the people that need that solidarity and that need to be comforted by their community, ultimately being someone that's in a community, that supporting them is a part of my job, much like selling them t-shirts is. And so if I'm not someone that can provide that comfort or uh, that advice to them, then I'm doing them a disservice and doing myself a disservice. And so in learning how to be a more active leader in my community and more active participant in my community, I saw that that would come out in my art as well, and in the art of many other people. And so it's been fun to watch the different ways that people have created art, the different art that people have created, and to share it, and for those to start conversations that are needed, especially in a generation that's lacking significant overt leadership, especially on a broader scale.
Definitely. Marcus, how about you?
Yeah, I'm just now reaching that escapism mode. I too am a nerd. I definitely play video games, and I just started watching old '80s cartoons. Cartoons I used to watch as a kid. All this stuff, just to sort of balance out the weight of everything that's happening, because I'm choosing to be on social media, and I'm choosing to sort of follow accounts that are all about pushing the reality in your face, which is good, because we do need to be informed. But when it first happened, I started, like, I did two albums that were really dealing with my feelings about the pandemic. So it's electronic music. Wrote some poems about it. My graphic design business is steady. I've been doing this for almost a decade now, so I'm blessed in that. I've been working from home for a long time, so my clients, we've shifted. Whether I used to do posters for live performances. Now I'm doing posters for virtual performances. So things like that. But it's having to shift really the way that I approach things. I'm a very old school person. I would rather read the newspaper than pull up an app. Like, I'm that person. So having to shift
Mm-hmm.
from um, doing things like this, it's a growth period for me in every aspect of my life. But I've just now started to really be okay with spending a day watching Thundercats, and like I'm gonna watch like old school stuff and just chill, and take a little bit of the weight off of me, because I think that, yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself to, I don't know, to process what's happening in this beautiful artistic way, when really all I needed to do was kind of take a nap. So I'm sleeping a lot more now.
Yeah, as we all should be. We are the generation of stable, but sometimes you can get insomnia, especially with everything happening so fast. I know historically, struggle has cultivated strength for us and our people in times. I know one particular pivot that we got the opportunity to be a part of was one of our guests, Miss Nashanel, as she pivoted her marketing company and added a product side. I would love for you to talk about your pivot and how that was for you emotionally and just altogether. How was that experience of pivoting your business, and what made you feel like that was the right move to do?
Yeah. So I, a part of me kind of opening myself up to the public more, I think, in my event planning and strategy and marketing business, was I wanted to offer something like to me, intimate to myself and personal to myself in the sense that, like, this is something that I grew up around. This is something that, like, I cherish. It's deep for me. So I started offering candles. Candles in my family, like, growing up, my mother has, we have a million candles at our house. Like, I don't know if that's like every typical family, but my mom really likes candles. So, like, my grandmother, my mother, we're from Alaska. Like, it's cold. It's like, I don't know if that's something to do with that, but yeah, like, my mom really likes candles. So just like all these memories that are tied to me, candles and smells, and you know, the feeling that, like, you get sometimes when you just getting to chill with your people and you got a flame and you got each other in conversation and you're sitting and just in communion. Like, I don't know, I love candles, so I started making them. I make 100% soy wax candles with, like, essential oils, some herbs in them. I whip it up in my kitchen. Me and my mother, we get down. So it's really cool. I mean, we get to spend that quality time, and I just wanted to share it with other people, and offer, like, that bit of comfort. So I created a production side of my company, Create Comfort, and so we sell our candles there. Our website, if you are interested, is shop.nachanel.com. Nachanel spelled right there. So yeah, that's what that, the emotions. I mean, to me, that's, I didn't, and I'll be transparent. Like, I've not always made candles. We've always purchased them, and then my mom, like, when the candle gets kind of low to the bottom, what is, she'll take a pot of water, like a large pot of water. Maybe you put, like, collards or something in, or you can do a larger saucepan, fill it with low level water, and she'll boil the candle wax, and then she'll merge them all together. So it just kind of makes this crazy funky candle, but you can use your wax. And so, and my mom recycles a lot. We keep all our jars, our glasses, and we, like, just repurpose them. So yeah, I don't know, that, do that at home if you don't ever want to, like, waste your candle wax. You want to get that last little crazy smell. I don't know what's gonna come of it, but yeah, do it. It's cool. Science.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful. One thing I can definitely attest to about our culture is we are creative. Black parents don't throw nothing away, so you can always find something, create something. You can have a business, you can find something simple to make out of plastic bags. You could
Right.
be a millionaire. So, but yes, thank you for that, for sharing your experiences with pivoting and in this time period that we're in right now. Now, of course, we all, in some form of way, whether we realize it or not, somebody's watching us, whether it's little cousins, whether it's siblings, so you have some level of influence on the people around you. And of course, a lot of people have had different ways that they reacted to everything that's going on right now. And the way that they expressed it, it came from a place of, I feel like I need to do this. And a lot of times there's a secret behind that, is like, I'm doing this for someone. I'm doing this for the next generation. I want to set an example. So with that being said, and I will throw this question at Ms. Khadijah. Do you, as well, of course I would, but and we would, but do you consider yourself an influencer? And how do you think that what we've been doing and what you've been doing in your personal life, as a everything that's going on, how do you think that would consider you an influencer? Like, how do you think that would? What was your intention on helping the community with the actions that you take?
It's very interesting because I literally just had this conversation this morning about just the aspect of, wow, am I really an influencer? And I feel like I've been kind of seeing more of my personal influence over this time period that the pandemic has been around, and just having more conversations with people who just have so much positive things to say about me and my work, and just the way that I have influenced them in their daily lives, whether it be, oh, you motivated me to actually get started on this project, or you motivated me to really take a good, transparent look at my feelings and not, be afraid to express them, even though I am in the limelight. Or even just being a good friend and just checking in and just saying, hey, like, I'm rooting for you. I hope that you're doing well. Like, I know that you have things going on, but are you taking care of yourself? So I guess in a lot of those ways, I do consider myself an influencer, but I'm so humble to the point where, like, I would probably never outwardly say that. Just because I'm very passionate about the things that I do. I'm not really looking for attention in any way, shape, or form. It just comes very natural to me. Even just the aspect of how the Conquer movement kind of came into its conception, it was a graphic design project in high school. I'm a creative, and so when we were tasked with either creating a marketing plan for an existing business or creating our own, I went that route. And as I was creating that, I had a conversation with my teacher who was like, you should seriously consider doing this because you've poured so much into this project that no one else has really done in this classroom. And so I sat with that because I'm very passionate about storytelling as it relates to education. My mom is an educator and has been for 30 years. And I'm very much influenced by the conversations that we have just about culture and the things that we see. But when watching the news, especially as a child, it was very hard to digest what was going on because I never really saw anything positive about Black people or Black culture. And so I told myself that if I wanted to do something in that line, I want it to be influential to the point where people are getting educated about what's happening and they're feeling good about themselves, they're feeling good about their culture and their skin, and they know what's happening in their communities. And so I think my biggest goal for my life, period, is just to influence a generation of storytellers in the spaces that they are the most comfortable in telling their own stories authentically. I want people to be able to talk about their small towns and find the joy in what they were able to grow up with and what's kind of kept them into their adulthood. I want them to talk about that one teacher that influenced them and pour back into the education system because of that. I want people to be passionate about politics and really elect, political figures in their communities that are going to impact change. I want the younger creatives and younger storytellers, younger business people to be poured into the way that certain teachers have poured into me. And so that would be my long term goal here as an influencer.
Lovely, lovely. Now I would like to throw the same question at you with some of the work that you've done and are doing with the Jubilee Festival and a lot of different live events and virtual events. Would you consider yourself an influencer?
So no, I don't think I'm influenced by so much and so many people. I don't know, like you all influence me as we're sitting here now. Like I wouldn't consider myself an influencer, and I just don't in my head like the idea that anyone should like follow me. I'm very big on I think everybody cultivating the path that is meant for them, their individual purpose, their individual calling. Like I don't want to ever think that I don't know, like not that I think it's a bad thing, but I want everyone to live so authentically them, like be you unapologetically, to the core. So I don't want to take that from anybody, I guess, in that sense. Um, and I think everybody should have that chance to be able to dig deep and see, like, to see and say, like, okay, this is me. Get familiar with every corner and crevice of who they are, and like the good parts, the bad parts, quote unquote, every single aspect of yourself, because I think each person is beautiful, beautifully organized, and we're all these components of all this different stuff. I don't know. I'm getting a little spiritual trippy now, but yeah, like when you think of, I'm a science geek, so I like to always refer things back to science, but on a cellular level, even, you know what I mean? We're these microscopic put together into these great and fantastic, like diverse sculptures. So why not explore that and see what it's made of and comprised of? I don't know. People influence me. Like, I don't think I'm an influencer.
Yeah, I think that's very relatable. Everybody feels influenced. So I guess I would ask the inverse of the question, and this can be everyone. Um, how have you been influenced, or what maybe a select group or select organization has been doing something that influences you? How have you been influenced, and how has your spirits been kept up through all of the craziness that's been going on? I will start with Mr. Kadeem.
Yeah, I've been influenced by my sister in seeing the way that she's grown as a creative, right, and being able to have a different perspective from her, right. For me, being in a field where thinking is a lot more systematic, I've been able to kind of see the benefit of what it looks like to have those who are considered creatives in your circle. And I think ultimately what I've realized is there's just so much value, no matter where you are, and having people who consider themselves creatives and who have a unique way of thinking in your circle around you. I think it's to your detriment if you don't. And being influenced by people of the likes of Khadija has allowed me to grow tremendously, not only in my field, but also in my personal life as well.
Yeah, I'll say that I've been influenced by my 9-month-old daughter. She's a very influential force in my life because just watching her personality grow and watching the natural joy that comes from her in a time where I'm hearing all this uh, fear about, oh, like these are hard times. Yeah, they are hard, but there's still this inherent joy in all of us, and I feel that whenever I hang out with her. And she's allowed me to slow down and check my ego. So I've been really influenced by that. I've also been influenced by artists who are, at least from outside looking in, don't seem to have a limit to what they do. So whether it's somebody like Moses Sumney, I don't know if any of y'all are fans of Moses Sumney,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just the visuals, the music, everything in it. It actually reminds me of like Prince in the '90s. There was no limit to what he could do. So artists like that, who I think really check us, who are not what we completely expect when you approach their art, and who, in my mind, have no limit, can just do. I mean, if Moses Sumney put out a punk rock album tomorrow, we would be like, cool. So things like that. I'm really inspired by that stuff. So that's been influential for me. Yeah.
Um, I'll say I've been influenced by a lot of my friends and like my aunt. Everyone I'm cool with, they do different things, so it keeps me like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I have friends who do poetry, dance, fashion, artists, like make music, and just seeing how they're so passionate about their stuff, it helps me. And my aunt, she's always telling me to live my life to the fullest and just always giving me good advice. And I just think I look up to them a lot.
Cool.
Yes, Lee.
There's a lot of influence, and the most fun thing recently has been taking influence from things that basically finding parallels between two things that generally wouldn't be thought of in the same breath. For example, with the whole rise of Dreamville, especially seeing the way that as a collective, Felton Brown and Eve Hamad and J. Cole kind of came together as a creative force and made Dreamville into what it is now, seeing like the whole revenge sessions that they did where they got like 30, 40 artists in this one complex in Atlanta and just locked in and made stuff for like it's insane. And so seeing the same system that constructed that to looking at the way the Boondocks was created, how LaShawn Thomas got together with Aaron Magruder and even Cheeks Galloway, who's a artist out in California, and how they found the people that they felt most talented for the project they were creating, not necessarily to farm ideas, but to form skill sets and to create something out of those skill sets that exist. And from those, having all those minds in the same room. So in creating and studying animation, I've been using that same mentality to build not necessarily a team dedicated to one thing, but a bank of ideas and a bank of influence that can be drawn from to make the ideas have more form and also to make it less formulaic, because the more ideas that you have, the more room you have to play with. So it's become interesting now, finding different ways to learn different things.
It's awesome. Boondocks is great.
Yes.
Yes, so it's so good. Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, they definitely need to stop playing and bring it back for this next season because they've been playing with our emotion. Need the Boondocks right now to put
It's not gonna be what you want, bro. I'm gonna tell you that
in.
right now.
Yes, but it seems
Listen,
like
I feel like the culture needs it right now.
yes,
It's not the
definitely
culture
does.
no more, because it's not made by us. We have the resources to make the things from us directly, as opposed to being second and third hand on things. But we shall see. It might prove me wrong. I hope you're right. I really do.
Oh man! Wow.
Black men talking about ownership right there. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's important.
what we need. Take control of ours. I'm right with you, Lee. So it seems like we all know artists are the bedrock of any type of comfort right now. In the time of struggle, the artists are the ones who tell our story. They put out beautiful pieces that help us get through the times. Um, that's one way because it reflects, seeing a reflection of truth, it helps to heal us mentally. So I know with Nasha making candles and with Marcus spending time with his family and his daughter, um, what other ways do you guys take care of your mental wellness, especially during this time? I guess let me see who I want to fill it up first. Miss Khadijah.
How am I taking care of self? The short answer is I haven't been, if I'm completely honest. I reached a point this week, especially with everything that's been going on, to where I really had to check myself on that and just kind of tell myself, I think it is time for a break. I think it is time for me to take a step back personally and really dive into what it is that I personally need. I think at the start of the year, I had a lot of expectations for myself and goals that I set. And then with the pandemic hitting, I had to find different ways to pivot all of those goals. And so that meant that I had to be on autopilot mode. So we had self care moments in between. But as far as consistently taking care of self, I don't think that that really existed for me on an honest level. And so I think I've reached a transparent point where it is time for me to kind of put myself first in a lot of the things that I need to do and really just say, what is it that you need? What do you need to do? What do you need to thrive? What do you need to succeed in the ways that you would like to? Do you need rest more? You know, it would be great to just find little simple things to kind of dig into a little bit more. Even creating, I think I've written maybe one or two pieces since the pandemic started. So even just getting back into writing more, I miss the stage, and so finding ways to still perform outside of just everything that's been going on. And so That is the biggest way that I am taking care of self, is beginning to put myself first in the things that I need to do.
I
Yeah,
guess
I'll
I'll
hop on
go.
it.
So,
go
Oh,
okay.
ahead.
National, I'm going to let you take it.
Go ahead. You said what? Sorry.
I said I'm going to let you take it. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So for me, a lot of me time has been essential. And what that looks like, working out, eating well, like taking little, daily reading, going outside, the things that I think often quickly you can overlook or, not even appreciate the significance of, um, has been instrumental for me. Connecting with like friends and family has been uh, checking in and just, feeling support and feeling my community and having my community uphold me and doing the same. So, but yeah, like just checking in with self, like you got to be authentically real with yourself every moment. For me, like that's how I'm getting through it. If today looks like me ugly crying while I'm hitting this document I need for whoever I have to send it to, that's what I got to do. It's being whatever the day comes with, and sitting with it and being okay with it, not trying to force my hand to say like I need to be this rigorous XYZ way, putting this astronomical amount of pressure and self on or pressure on myself, um, where sometimes like it's okay to just flow with the day, because I know if my principles lie as they are, if my intentions and my discipline and my practices are, you know, they're going to get me to the next step, they're going to get me to the next level. Everything should work out how it has to work out. I lay the plan, I set the intentions, I say this is what I want it to be, and it's gonna have to, it's gonna have to be that. So I don't know. I'm flowing. I'm really taking things like, and for me, I'm a planner. I'm an event planner. I'm an organizer. Everything's structure. Everything is deadline. Everything is so. To have that balance, even in itself, is a huge accomplishment for me. And I'm like going with it because it's working.
Yeah, that's great. I love your focus on self care, whether it be exercise or eating right. That's really huge. That's been a big focus for you. Yeah, for me, I think one of the biggest ways I care for myself mentally is having intentional one-on-one time with other people. Just being able to have deep and real conversation, and also just hearing different perspectives. I think is really important. Especially during a time period like this where there's a lot of division, be it racial or political. I think a lot of that comes from a lack of perspective, and not wanting to relate with those who are different. So, being able to have that intentional time with others has been huge for me. Along with that, alone time, intentional alone time has also been something that's really huge for me. Usually that looks like just being alone and reading scripture or something like that. And really just kind of taking that time to process. And there's a big guy who's influenced me a lot. His name is Gordon McDonald. He talks a lot about the beauty of budgeting your time for the sake of gathering your inner strength and being able to rebuild yourself. So I think that's something that's really important for me.
Yeah, and I was gonna say for me, self care is saying no, and saying no emphatically to people who ask things. Because yeah, I mean, as artists, and I'll just speak for me. I mean, I've been asked to do a lot of things that I'm not comfortable with, and from organizations that are white led, and I'm just like, I'm no, I'm not gonna do that for you, and that's felt really good. But also specifically, listening to music really helps me. And this is just a thing I've always done is challenging myself to listen to an album from front to back without checking my email or checking text messages or getting on social media. It's really listening to music in the way that I think it was meant to be listened to. So, and a lot of that, if you listen to old school albums like Stevie Wonder records or Nina Simone albums, there's just so much. There's so much there that I think is wonderful, but just the art of just sitting with an album from front to back, it's almost like reading a book. That's been a beautiful self care moment for me.
Yeah, it's easy to forget how much taking time is good for us, especially being multifaceted beings. We can sometimes
Mhm.
want to do all the things we're capable of doing. And if you run anything at 100% all the time, it's eventually going to crash. Even down to like Stevie Wonder, Songs of the Key of Life plays as an entire
Oh my
like
gosh.
hour-long song. And it's
Perfect.
absolutely amazing. Yes,
It's perfect.
but yeah, it's the best. It's amazing.
It's
But at the
perfect.
same time, if Stevie Wonder was putting in all of that energy, like every single time that he made a song, as opposed to allowing there to be wanes where you have slow
Mm.
songs, fast songs, and you have songs where there's everything in it, like Sir Duke, then it wouldn't be fun to enjoy. And similarly, as having one monotone song would suck. Being one person that's always running at 100% capacity or at the same capacity sucks. So having that time to rest allows us to reassess the things that we're doing so that we can do different things that might have more impact or different impact as time goes on.
Word.
You better speak. You better speak. Yes.
Dropping jewels all night.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But for the sake of time, I'm going to move to our final question of the night. So, what, in your opinion, is the value of community building during these times? We've seen a lot of communities come together. We've seen a lot of people coming together during this time and in the protest, actually pushing to get things changed. I've seen a lot of articles about people purchasing land together, coming in and doing the Susu thing and thing. So, what is the importance of community building as a whole and within your personal communities? I'll start with Miss Nashanel.
That's weird that I knew you were gonna say me first, but um, so for me, okay. I mean, the whole like what I feel my purpose is in this on this earth in this dimension is to connect people, to make sure that people engage with one another, to foster those safe places that people can engage with one another. But I think um, I think we all just need to like remind ourselves often that community like is that is the beginning. I think we often lose ourselves in our individualism. I don't think personally it's 100% natural to want to feel so isolated all the time or to feel isolated all the time. We come from humans. You know, you had your mother, you was there chilling for 9, so it's like you had to grow with the tribe. It's not. I don't believe it to be natural to want to be alone all the time. And I think realistically, in my take, personal opinion or idea is that just like the society we live in, I think this idea to chase capital gain, you have to isolate yourself and disconnect from others and to sew into this system and this machine um, in order to go for this greater good is this it's a scam we've been fed. I think the more that we connect with each other, the stronger we are. I don't know. Since I'm from Alaska, science lesson of the day. So talking about if you think about like water molecules, right? So water can go in different stages. It can or molecules, different stages. You got water, you got clouds, condensation, air, and then you have ice. So when it's in ice form, the molecules are so tightly wound that it's impenetrable. You can't go through it. You know what I mean? So like in essence, if we were to be that tightly wound, look at how impenetrable we are. We are like ice. We are like this solid foundation. As we dissipate, and we disconnect from each other, you lose that strength, I guess, in a sense. So I don't know. I just find community is imperative, and I think we all have to continue to find community, sow community, foster community. We're so like-minded in so many ways, many of us. I think we got to continue to tap into each other like fiercely. I think honestly our survival depends on it. Um, you're asking me. So yeah, we have to continue to connect as strongly and as tightly as we can.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes, Marcus, I felt like you wanted to say something.
Oh no, I was just snapping because yeah, everything that she said was perfect. But I also do think that that's true, and I think that uh, another positive from COVID is that we are very picky and choosy about who we hang out with, and those people end up being our like family, so it's almost as if we are forced to build our community right now. Like every interaction, especially every in-person interaction, is very important, and we are very aware of that. Like I'm not trying to hang out with strangers right now, because you don't know where people have been, you don't know what their energy is. So I think that what's happening now is that we understand the importance of community even stronger than before, and that's been a beautiful thing. Again, I'm old school, and I hate that so much of community means a Facebook page or like checking in with somebody on Instagram or something. I really um, wish that we could all be in person more and hang out more in a
Mhm.
non-fearful way. But I just think that, yeah, we understand what community means more right now because it's so important to stick together, especially right now when fear is being thrown in our face every day, and it's a very intentional thing um, in my opinion. So, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I
I
totally
think both
agree with that.
make go ahead. That you lead? No, I think both of y'all make great points. Yeah, I think humans are designed for community with one another. To have a group of people that we can be transparent and vulnerable with, and especially during this time period where uh, we are having our human rights violated as African Americans. I think it's so important to be able to have a group of people around you who can just point out the beauty of who you are as an individual, and also being able to share the beauty of that as a group is extremely important. And I think what we've seen is just is very shallow. So realizing the importance of building deep, strong, and intimate relationships with other people is extremely important, especially for our mental health.
Yes, yes, that's very, very important. It has definitely been an amazing conversation, guys. I want to thank you all for being here. I am proud to call you members of my community. And just as I've done in every single Coast to Coast episode, we have dropped yet another episode full of jewels. You don't want to hit the playback button over and over again just to keep your spirits up, just to know that we here for you and we're going to do the same. So before we get up out of here tonight, I want to get a few words of advice for our communities, for some people who may not have the strength right now, for some people who may have lost some family members due to COVID or police brutality. What advice could you give them to get them through this moment and help them find some peace for themselves and be able to grow from this experience? We're going to start with Madam Founder.
Um, Definitely taking things one day at a time, one step at a time. As long as you are giving 100% of your all into anything that you do, you are doing more than enough. And if you're not able to give 100%, it's okay to say that. It's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to lean on your community. It's okay to say that I need someone at this time. Be completely honest with yourself in this moment. I think before COVID, we were kind of forced into kind of giving ourselves illusions that everything was fine for the sake of getting through the things that we needed to, for the sake of showing up to our professions or doing these projects or different things of that nature. And so during this time frame, it's so important for us to be honest with ourselves first, and allowing that energy to also seep into every single aspect of who we are and what we do.
Let's go clockwise, Mr. Kadeem.
Yeah, I would say just during this time period where we've seen a lot of our external circumstances just affected by countless different things over this year. I think we need to decide who do we want to be internally, right? Understanding that we're not defined by our work, we're not defined by just the things that we do alone, right? If you're an influencer, you're not defined just by your work. You're also, like Nashanel said, a unique person who's worth a lot more than that. So I think it's important to reflect on where you're at right now as a professional of who do I want to be outside of my work? What purpose do I want to have? What effect do I want to have on the people around me? And hopefully that will lead to us being a more loving and empathizing people with those around us.
Miss Raven.
Sorry for my lighting, guys. But if anyone's going through it, let me just put the light on. Can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm in the car. But with anything going on, I think people should definitely reach out to someone, because during this time I went through depression like really, really bad, and I couldn't really hang out with people to like really talk to them face to face how I felt. But when I was open about it on social media, a lot of people who I don't even like talk to reached out to me, and it helped me, and it helped me push through a lot. So I feel like if you're going through something or there's something bothering you, just reach out to someone, or just like try to get advice from somebody. It would really help you and change your whole attitude, because that happened to me. And basically just try to push through it the best way you can.
Yes. Master Teacher Lee.
Oh. Place your health before everything else. It's not worth it holding yourself to an unrealistic expectation of attractiveness or strength or intelligence. You have to understand who you are, and take the time to process and heal. Because when you've healed, then you're at your most powerful and you're at your most functional, and that's when you can put work in. A lot of us are running on 20 and 30% because we haven't allowed to ourselves to heal and to understand what feeling healed feels like. So uh, make sure that your health is your first priority before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
To add to Master Lee's point, I think we should, continue to try to understand ourselves, understand every fabric of our being. So, in order to do so, there is a lot of healing work that takes. Being able to know our own stories, and then also simultaneously feeling, sturdy enough to stand tall to create our own stories, as Kadeem talked about. Being able to write and imagine and facilitate what it is that you want to be. The world is limitless. Like, this life is limitless. I think we too tightly wound ourselves sometimes, and we go based off of some script we created in our head. But if you kind of backtrack to all of the stories you've told yourself, you understand how that script was created. So yeah, just have that internal dialogue with self. Ask yourself a lot of questions. Why is the biggest one I ask myself all the time to try to foster deeper understanding. So know your own history to yourself. That's what I would advise everyone to do.
Yeah, and I would say, well, for me, the wiser I get and the grayer that my beard gets, I want people to like me for who I am and not what I do. So I think that that's a theme in my life right now, and I just think that, yeah, it's been echoed previously on this question, but it's just, be okay with who you are and where you are at right now. I think that we tend to compare ourselves to people all the time, and it's just a false narrative that we have. But just take care of yourself. That's the most important thing, and you are okay where you are. And if something triggers you, ask somebody about it, get some education on it, but know that you're still okay.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
like
I
that.
would agree. You are okay. You are enough. Everything that you're doing, as long as it's everything that you can do and you feel comfortable doing, know that somebody's watching you, somebody's paying attention, and somebody is influencing you. I want to thank our wonderful panel for coming on and chopping it up with us. If you have not, make sure you go on the Movement IG page, binge watch all those episodes, get you some knowledge, some love, some different perspectives to help you through this. We are here for you. We love you. And y'all have a beautiful night. Thanks for kicking with us. This has been the final episode of Coast to Coast with us, the Conquer Movement. We love y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Peace.
Peace.